One of our next mods is to install these vent hoods on this Jeep to kind of keep some of the heat going up and keep it from being trapped inside of that engine bay, getting my temperatures up too high. I think I'm gonna place mine right here, because one of the first things you do is just manually place them somewhere just to see where they look. I had them in the back, I've had them in the front. I like them sitting right there more than anything else, because let me kind of back up some to show you. I mean, that's pretty much how it'll look with them sitting there. I like that look. They don't sit too far up front. They still leave me a lot of hood space to get that nice, you know, mango tango Jeep color orange showing. So I think I'm gonna sit them in the back, because all the black stuff is back there. Kind of push them back a little bit. And what I want to do is grab me a tape measure to kind of see how far apart this stuff's going to be. So from tip to tip, I'm running probably about 2 feet, maybe about 2 feet from the back tip to that tip. So that's about 2 feet. And then here to here is about 21.5 inches. So I'm going to need at least a template that's at least 2 feet wide. So I'm going to make a 25-inch wide template, and then I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Now I'm making my template on a big old cardboard box. So what I'm going to do is I got it, you know, measured 24 inches across. So what I'm going to do is get me a X-Acto knife and cut about 26 inches, because I want it to be big enough to sit it on there. I'm going to cut about 26 inches. Then I'm going to come down, just cut a straight square, and then we're going to do our cutouts right inside of there before we stick them on the Jeep. Okay, here's my cardboard cutout for my template, and there's my new doghouse. So my template is wide enough, but because of this piece here, now I could take that off, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a big notch out of my cardboard like this, so I can slide my template back a little bit further so I can get exact placement to see where I want these things. Okay, I did my little cardboard cutout, see that? Bam. And I got them placed. Pretty much I'm going to want them right there. So what I'm about to do is go get me a marker and trace around them and make sure I'm going to cut about a good, because when you cut these, the air hole only has to come to about like this big center here. You don't have to make the air hole the exact shape of this. Your air hole can just be like, you know, right in there, because it just needs something for that air to come up and out of the engine. It doesn't have to be huge. It could just be exactly how you want it, right around here. So I'm going to do my cutout around here, maybe go about 1.5 inches in, and then cut the air hole right around there. I actually did it up on the Jeep, and there's my cutouts right there. So those are your cutouts. When you turn it over, you see there's going to be little screws in here. This is probably about 1/2 inch off. So I'm going to do my cutout. Since I got my line here, I'm going to measure probably about a good inch in. And that's where my hole is going to be, 1 inch in all the way around like that. Because you only need an air hole enough. This whole thing will be out anyways. Like all of this part of the Jeep will be off. Enough air will come out. So I'm going to make it like just 1 inch around. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just got to be enough for airflow to get out. So pretty much how I'm drawing my holes is just kind of, you know, going like this, about 1.5 inches out where those bolts are going to be. And I figured it out by doing like this and saying, okay, by each one of these little notches, my bolts there. So I'm going pretty big around those notches right there. And then you just kind of draw, you know, your hole how you want it to be. Like it doesn't matter up here because the notches are actually way down here. And that's where I want most of my metal right there. So my hole won't look like this. This is just where I'm going to draw it on the Jeep, so I can cut any of this out. I can cut right here if I feel like it. It don't make a difference. I can cut it this big. I can cut it this big. I'm just saying this is where it shouldn't be cut 100% guaranteed. I'm not going to cut it that thin. I'll probably cut it, you know, somewhere like this. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not going to do some old crazy cut. It's going to be covered up anyways. So there you go. That's how my cutouts are going to look. Like I said, it doesn't make a difference if you cut out a small circle, a bigger circle, whatever. As long as you don't cut where your screws need to be, that's all that really matters. Just make sure this piece right here is open so that air can come up, out, keeps the engine cool. So I came back out with my tape measure, laid my template, made sure I was like 1 inch from here to the corner of there, inch from that corner to there. I was 1.25 inches between these two. Made sure this little bar right here stopped dead center of this, so they're pretty much centered. They ain't gotta be perfect because nobody's gonna be trying to, you know, stop you and say, hey, let me measure your Jeep real quick, but get it as close as you can because it's got to look good. But I'm gonna get my marker. Well, I'm gonna get a piece of tape to tape this down, then I'm gonna get a marker and just kind of draw a line in there, and that's the line I'm gonna cut. Okay, I had to go get a step ladder. This is getting crazy. I forgot I lifted the Jeep a couple of weeks ago, so yeah, it's not as easy as I thought. But here's my template, and what I do is once I pick this up, bam, there I am right there, and that's where I cut. Wasn't gonna record this, but this is the first time I've ever drilled a hole in my Jeep, so I need this on record. I'm gonna start about right here in this corner and just straight down. And I got a big drill just so my scissors can kind of go through it. And this thing is solid. All right, I'm gonna do this with two hands and stop recording. And a lot of people use an angle grinder. I'm gonna use these snips right here. These are some Stanley snips, and they're pretty much sheet metal snips because this ain't nothing but sheet metal. So I'm gonna keep it quiet for my neighbors around here and just kind of, there's my hole, and I'm just gonna sheet metal shear right around. Using the snips, and I decided to just go with the angle grinder. So I got the first layer off. That's all it is a big old, what is that, trapezoid? Let's call it a trapezoid, parallelogram, whatever. And so now I just got to get this piece off here, which is easy because this is the main piece I was going for. This is just an undercarriage. You can just kind of shave that piece right out. It should come out no problem. You're wondering what this big piece of cloth is. I took the water hose and I put it up in the engine and I soaked it down just because those sparks get kind of hot, and that's what the sparks hit. So I soaked this down with water before I put it on top of my engine because I knew I was going to use the angle grinder. Kind of lightly shaved the edges down with the angle grinder just because I wanted to make sure there was no snags on it. This is how it looks from the inside now. There were little burrs all over here, so I just kind of took the angle grinder and just lightly shaved down. What I may do is get some mesh and put mesh right there. I mean, I can go to the store, you can get mesh, you can get you some rubber cement, whatever you want to get, you know, some Gorilla Glue, and put it around that so you don't see any of that. You can also get some, you know, paint that matches whatever your vehicle is and paint that to make it look nice. I got some paint in there. I may do it, may not, who knows. But I just think I want to get mesh to cover that up. Now I got my 4 holes to drill that'll fit perfectly with this. And how I got those white dots on there is I have a paint pen that I use for my motorcycle tires. And I just shook it up some and I put a dot on the back of each bolt while the bolt was actually in the case. And then I just lightly tapped it, boop. And there you go. There's your holes. Okay, now there's one that's actually installed right there. There it is on the top. Here it is on the bottom. I had to get my little wire snips to cut a little corner off of that so I can get to that bolt there. And I did the same with this one up here. I just cut like a small section off so I can get those bolts in there, but it's in there now. What I'm gonna do now is put my mesh on the back of here so all that's covered up. Probably do a little painting real quick, but that's one side. Now I'm gonna do the other one, and I'm not videotaping it. There it is, they're on. Check them out. Have my little helper out here holding up the hood. He held it up. Was it heavy or what? It was kind of heavy. Yep, so there it is. That's how she looks now. She got the air vents on the top to help keep her cool. Because what happened was she was always cool until I added these. Those pulled the hood real tight to where air couldn't even come in the front. So she started running about 222 when she's used to running about 205 all the time. So once I put those hood latches on, it pulled this down a little more snug. I didn't get airflow. So I just put those on and now I got airflow back. They're on there. This is how she looks on the inside. I'm gonna have to go back through one day and kind of do some touch-up paint, but that's the inside right there. That's where you can see the airflow. And I cut more metal out of this side than I did of that side, just because I'm gonna add a ton of like screens up in here. And I'm gonna clean that up real good so it looks pretty flush. So, but like I said, it didn't take that long. What, a couple hours worth of work, create some airflow, save your engine. That's how we do it.